Soul Repair 360. Oh my God! It's for real though. I'm being a little facetious, but my name is Britton. I just had the most healing, most wonderful conversation with two beautiful ladies who know how to pull everything out of you. How do they do that? I don't know.
Two ladies is gonna listen to this podcast. Thanks for coming.
Hey, you know, y'all can try and get to me if you want, but y'all don't see this missus over here. Shoot. She don't play, so.
Conversations, open the door, speak your truth, let it show. Healing hearts, we want more. Conversations, that's the core.
Hey, welcome back to Soul Repair 360 Conversations. Today we have Britton Hill joining us. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Britt before we get into our conversation here today. Over the past 3 decades, Britton Hill has served as a teacher, a swim coach, a dog trainer, an outreach coordinator. He has worked with individuals with developmental disabilities as well as those navigating addiction. He is a proud husband, proud father, a great friend, and a man of God. Britt holds a bachelor's degree in elementary education from Notre Dame College. Most recently, he received his CDCA certification, Chemical Dependency Counselor Assistant, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You got that.
To add to his grief recovery method specialist certification.
I'm going to keep going, too. I'm just going to keep going.
Which says a lot about your desire for lifelong improvement and well-being and also helping other people. So we just love you. He's our first male on our show.
Oh.
When I think about
making
Britt,
history right now. Making
That's
history.
right. That's right.
When I think about Britt, I see a helper by day and DJ by night.
That's right. I do it all.
DJ.
I do it all.
Yes, there's layers.
Multifaceted.
So when you said my mic sound nice, you didn't even know.
I was ready. I thought you was going to break down the whole. But it's okay. We'll get you on the other mic next time.
Let me not forget artists.
Yeah, I can do that too.
Awesome.
Yeah. I got a lot of
The man said I can do that too.
He can do that too. He got a lot going on over here. So you see why we invited him here today. He has an interesting story. So
it is a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
good. Glad. We're going to start off with a few little icebreaker questions just to
up to y'all. Y'all might have to help me.
We want our audience to get to know a side of you that they may not see on your resume. So,
Okay, let's run it.
Okay, so the game is called One's Gotta Go. Have you ever heard of it?
One's Gotta Go. I've never heard of it, but I can imagine. I gotta pick something that I ain't gonna want to pick.
That you ain't gonna
listen.
Leave. I'm gonna list 4 things for you. You have to name the thing that has to go. And you have to pick one thing off the list that's gotta go.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
Fried chicken, mac and cheese, sweet potatoes, or cornbread?
Cornbread.
Cornbread get no love.
I love cornbread, but I have a wife who doesn't, so cornbread has to go.
That she voted, huh? She voted. Cornbread is out.
I made some cornbread just about 3 days ago, and she did not take one little bite. Oh, God.
Okay, one's gotta go. Sunday naps, soul food leftovers, a driveway chat, or auntie playlist.
Soul food leftovers. So
that's got to go.
Got to go.
You said you can't. You gotta let them go.
Man, I gotta let that and a few pounds that come along with it go. So.
All right, DJ, you ready?
I'm ready.
Listen and listen deep.
Oh man.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Jesus.
Stevie Wonder. You don't have one for Stevie?
I got too many for Stevie.
Okay.
The Ribbon in the Sky. Yeah, we can go on forever, you know.
Aretha Franklin or Anita Baker?
Man, that's tough. That is real tough. I hate to say this, and this people probably gonna be mad at me, but Aretha gotta go. I love Aretha Franklin, but
I hear you.
You know, you guys made me do this, so they're coming after you.
And then I always say, no wrong answers, but I can't control my mouth.
Yeah, man,
Every
Aretha,
one of them. You said
she's
it.
like the foundation for all of that
Mhm.
music, but so is Stevie. And so, and you know, Anita was she just the bomb.
Anita. That's right.
You know,
Okay.
We understand.
and Earth, Wind and Fire is like the first real band.
Mhm.
So you know,
Can't let them go.
can't let them go.
A lot of people say that between Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder, that their music is sampled the most on a lot of things outside of what, like Michael Jackson. People
James
sample.
Brown
James
is really
Brown,
the
okay.
the sample king. They sample all of James Brown's music. So so
They do.
yeah.
They?
So put that in your pocket.
I'm
Take
say
it
we
with
gotta
you.
add James to
Yeah,
We gotta add James
because
to
if
the
you're
list.
talking about music, that is, well, he is one of the most sampled artists.
Come on, talk, DJ.
I'm just telling you the truth. You know.
All right.
This one is top 3 list. So you're going to tell me the top 3 things on your list for each of the categories that we ask you about.
Top 3 people you call when life is life.
Shirley.
Shirley's the wife.
And my boy Donnie.
Okay.
Shirley's in the studio today. She said, you better say that twice. Top 3 things that feel like home to your soul.
A hug and a kiss from my wife when we get home from work. A hug and a kiss from my wife when we wake up in the morning. And just that call to check and see how she's doing. You know, just, I send her a lot around her. So, yeah, that's all of it right there. That's just,
Feel like home to
that,
your soul.
that's
Come on
home to
now.
my soul. I haven't, you know, if I can be frank, this is not my first marriage, but man, where was she? You know,
Waiting on you.
man, she the truth. She is the truth.
Everything happens in divine order.
Yeah, man, that's my girl. That's my
I
girl.
know
And
that.
I ain't saying that just because she's sitting here. I was saying.
I'm about to say, if I ain't know better, I'd say he's working on a sandwich. I mean, the man gotta eat.
Nah, that's my girl. She's my best friend.
And we know who you're talking about, and we know you're not blowing smoke.
Yes,
Right.
Be good
yes,
people.
yes. Okay, we're going to go a little bit deeper.
More. Oh God.
If your nervous system had a theme song right now, what would it be? Think about like what season you're in, or even today if you want.
If you got a song in your head, you know, like what's your vibing? If it's a beat.
I'm just gonna go. You know, Criminal Minded Boogie Down Productions. You know. Yeah, that's for some, or we could go Pistol Grip Pump. I know it all sounds violent, but you know.
But we know the artist, so we know.
Yeah, but really, it's a reason behind all that. I used to skate all the time, and so that music was the vibe for
Come
roller
on,
skating.
either you know or you don't know about the skates.
Yeah, so you know that's why it ain't like I'm about to go and pull my gat out, and you know it's just the vibe with the music and the road.
A little nostalgia, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reminding you of a simpler time.
Yeah, when life was all I went to church, but skating was my church too. So that was like
community.
A release for me.
Oh, I think I'm gonna go this one. Which emotion would you hire as your life coach, and which one would you fire?
Laughter, happiness. I would hire happiness, and I would fire fear. I would get rid of it because you're fearful of things and you don't even realize it until sometimes it's too late. It didn't help you make a decision, and when you make decisions based out of fear, you kind of mess up. So I would fire fear, that emotion, anything revolving around that.
Yeah, it's got to go.
We were just talking about that earlier.
We sure were, yeah. I think we had an interesting conversation around fear in group, just about fear not actually existing, only being about what you imagine. That it isn't in the moment, it's what you tell yourself, and you respond to that.
And the bad part about it for me is that, you know, I know some word, and God says He didn't give us the spirit of fear. He gave us power. and a sound mind,
Mhm.
so, why can't I remember that when I'm scared?
You know how I remembered that scripture? Plasm. Power, love, and a sound mind. So
Okay,
when
that's
I feel
good.
like,
That's good. I like that. I like that. Yeah.
But when it come up, you gotta be ready to rebuke.
Plasm, plasm, plasm.
By the
God dang, yeah, plasm. Plasma? No, not blood. Plasm.
Don't holler that too long. They might come get you.
You ready to dig in a little deeper?
Yeah. Listen.
Y'all, they scaring me now. Y'all gonna have to come
You
and help
don't
me
have-
out.
You don't have to be afraid of this conversation. You're here because you are willing to have it.
Okay.
You are among the men we know who isn't afraid of their wellness. And we think you're a worthy individual to have this conversation around. And so, what is most present in this season of your life? Individually, like when I noticed as you're speaking, you acknowledge your wife and everything you do. What's most present for you in this season?
Well, that is it. God and my wife. Everything else centers around that. That's, for me, that is my nucleus.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I ain't right with God, I certainly am not going to be right with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's an everyday conversation with me, just talking to God in my head and my prayers and all that. And then, just trying to keep that solid foundation with my wife is just what's important to me. I will, I'm not perfect, but I really try hard to make that the center, and hopefully she feels that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We all look. She's not looking at us. Isn't it amazing how much you're on the podcast without being on the
So we invited you here around this conversation of grief, and in particular because you and your lovely wife have been through grief recovery. And so I want to know, before we talk about the impact of that on your relationship, before grief recovery, did you ever feel like something was off, but to everyone else you appeared to be fine and maybe even thriving?
Something was always off.
And what was the indicator?
Something was always off.
What made you?
No, I had a very tumultuous childhood. So, something was always not right. When you grow up in dysfunction, that becomes functional to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's never been always all right. You know what I'm saying? So you just learn how to function in it. You move and you keep going and you try to do what's right. You know what I'm saying? You try to make the best of a situation. But it wasn't until grief recovery that I realized some of the things that affected me as a child, that I carried with me throughout my adult life. You know what I'm saying? So something was always off, but because of my personality, I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. I'm friends with everybody. I talk to people all the time. That's my job. I do outreach, so I'm not afraid to talk to people, and so people would never think that anything was wrong unless they were very close to me, like my wife.
Mm-hmm.
So
a lot of us are good at masking some of it because we got to make a check. So, but we get so used to it.
If I responded every time something was wrong, I'd probably be somewhere in a straitjacket somewhere. If based on some of the things that I know from my youth, and if I reacted every single time, people would be like, "Man, what the heck is going on? What's wrong with him?" So, like you said, we wear a mask, we cover some things up, or we deal with it by not dealing with it.
So what did it actually look like for you, grief?
As a child, man, I lived in constant fear. that's how my childhood was. I'm, not going to expose people, but life was difficult, and I was at the end of a lot of hard things, abuse, all kind of stuff. So and that impacts you when you don't have people protecting you, when you're dealing with when your parents are dealing with things and they don't know how to protect you, or they think they're protecting you, but they have their issues, and so you just trying to survive. You are just literally trying to survive. If it means going to hide in the corner so can't nobody touch you, talk to you, see you, out of sight, out of mind. So
So I heard that word fear come up again.
Yeah.
That's how you started the response to
Yeah.
that question. So grief looks like fear.
it is fear. Grief is fear for me, along with some other stuff too. But I think if
Like
I
a
had,
loss of security.
yeah, just anxiety, stress, and so thank God for
So
grief.
when did the light bulb come off where you said, "Oh, that might be grief"?
I've always tried to deal with myself on the strength that being honest with myself. But if you don't have the tools to fix things, then you just don't know how to do it. But I think being honest with myself is one of the things that has gotten me this far. Um, Not living in denial, not I don't blame people, but if you did it, you did it, and it's your fault, and that's the facts are the facts. But I'm not carrying that crutch. I try not to anyway. Sometimes we don't know if we're using the crutch or not, but I try not to use the crutch, and well, this happened to me, and da 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 da. I try to really move beyond it. But how often are we successful with that if we don't know that we're grieving, or if we don't know what's impacting us until we're forced to sit back and think about things? So,
Or in your case, you intentionally went to look at things. You didn't have to be forced. You were proactive, and you took Soul Repair 360, and you took an opportunity to look at your life carefully. It takes an incredible amount of bravery, but we can look at those things without us having to hit the wall.
yeah, we don't have to go rock bottom.
We don't have to go rock bottom. Yeah, absolutely.
I meet a lot of people just more recently than not. I've met people who have hit rock bottom and turned to other sources, and then that's where they have those addictions and things. Thank God I didn't go that route. You know what I'm saying? It could have been easy. Listening to some people's stories, because we all have one.
Yeah.
So how has your healing journey, particularly around grief recovery, impacted your relationships?
They've helped me. I don't know if they've helped because they helped me because I've accepted some things. I've forgiven some people. I've sometimes you still have to work through some things. You know what I'm saying? Even though you went through a process, it doesn't just leave you. But then, you have a confidant who you can talk to, and if they keep it 100 with you. We did grief recovery at separate times, my wife and I. And man, she'll remind me about, didn't you take grief recovery? Why aren't you operating in this? Why aren't you doing that? I'm like, man, you're right. But first it's a little, what you talk about? We have a little back and forth, but if I admit it, she's right on point. Didn't you learn this in grief recovery? Why don't you try? Okay, but yeah, you're right.
That's good, Britt. That's really good. For couples who struggle a lot trying to get on the same page, it's often helpful to have a third party, not a third person, but a third party to that you both agree on is a way to go about doing things. So now it's not about one person being right or wrong. It's the thing that we both believe in is the root or the grounding for our conversation. That's a gift.
Yeah, you got a built-in accountability partner too. You don't have to just rely on the voice in your head. You got an audible voice like,
man, she hold me accountable for everything.
I mean, but that's a blessing.
We have great conversation. That's how we started our relationship. Just conversation. And that is like our foundation. So we talk. If we don't do anything else, we talk. Sometimes we quiet, but sometimes we do a lot of talking. Sometimes it's at 4 o'clock in the morning, but we talking.
So would you recommend it to other married couples?
Absolutely. What I think was good about it is that I went first. And so in an effort and a pursuit to deal with myself, thanks to Danielle, she told me about grief recovery. And I was like, that sounds interesting. I didn't know what it entailed, but as I got involved in it, it was certainly something that allowed me to confront a lot of things that I went through as a child and pinpoint it actually and go right to that place where everything else was affected because of that and just deal with myself, because if I'm not good, I can't be good for her. You know, if I'm not right, if in my mind, if I'm not stable, I can't be a support for her. So grief recovery has allowed me to at least if I can't figure it out, it'll tell me maybe you need to go talk to somebody. You know, maybe, and then there ain't nothing wrong with therapy. You know what I'm saying? People, you know, you try to heal, you put a Band-Aid on your arm if you get a scratch, you know, but some people's brains is messed up. You need a little therapy, man. You gotta go get some help. You know, if you can fix a broken leg, you can get your brain worked out too. You know, don't get mad at me, Joe. I'm just saying, you know, don't get mad at me.
That's real.
I was gonna ask what shift in perspective that what was one shift in perspective that helped you start showing up for yourself differently? I feel like you started sharing that already.
Well, my wife and I say this to each other all the time. Our feelings matter. And when I came to that realization, my feelings matter. Because in grief recovery, I'm the people pleaser. You know what I'm saying? I'm the one that's always trying to make everybody happy. But nobody paid attention to me, you know? So there was never any validation. If something was wrong, you know, nobody addressed it. I went on. I moved. I did what I had to do, and I carried all that with me. But the shift is that I realized that my feelings matter. That I'm an important person. I can have good words said about me. I can be validated. You know what I'm saying? So that was the shift, and really, the shift is me believing in myself. You know, and that's the battle that I fight all the time. You know, I can do all these things. We talked about a lot of the things that I can do, but man, you know, I'm doing it, but until somebody said, hey, you're pretty good at that, you don't realize how good you are at it. You know what I'm saying? You don't hear it, you don't feel it until somebody else gives you that recognition. You know what I'm saying?
So what would you say to another man? And I'm saying it in that gender frame because society often says a man has to be X, Y, Z, whatever. What would you say to another man now that maybe you didn't have the words to say prior to you?
I would tell them to quit following society's rules, because those are the rules that have us all messed up. You know, address your feelings, put your pride away, and you know, I ain't saying you gotta cry about everything. But I'm saying address your issues, confront them, quit being afraid to talk about them. You know, that is the gift of grief recovery to me, is that I got to talk about some stuff without interaction from the people who I was talking to.
That part.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So there was no interruption. I could get everything out, and it didn't matter if they understood it or not. I got it out. And so I would tell men, don't be afraid to confront your issues, even the smallest things, you know. And the serious things, because we take on the perception that society puts on us, but do we actually live it? Are we being that? Are we the provider? Are we good husbands? Are we good fathers? You know what I'm saying? And who says what a good father is? Who says what a good parent is? You know what I'm saying? We don't have all the answers, but we can confront them by talking about them. And so that's what I would say to another man is, don't be afraid to talk about your issues and address them, and have someone that you can confide in. If you're lucky, I'm blessed. I really am that I have someone. You know, they are honest with me, whether I want to hear it or not, and that's part of it too. You have to be willing to hear the truth.
Yeah.
You have to really, and that's the one thing I think that I'm good at is I don't have a problem apologizing or admitting when I'm wrong. It just may take me a while to get there.
So do you think it is that socialization that prevents men from wanting to take these types of steps, or is it fear?
I think it's a culmination of all of the above. I think it's certainly fear, because men don't want to. Men, in my opinion, I guess I can't generalize or speak for every man, but being a man, I would say that, you know, it's viewed as a form of weakness when we express ourselves, if we cry, or if we say that hurt me. You know what I'm saying? You know, so I think it's a culmination of all those things. It's some fear because we don't want to be viewed in a certain light. We don't want to be seen as weak. You know, I remember when I first met her, my wife, I told her I had hurt my finger, and I had it wrapped up real good, and I didn't even want to go to church because I was serving on security, and my mind said that anybody sees that I have an injury, they're going to test me. And that's how my mind thought. I didn't want people to see a weakness in me at all. So I'm like, no, I'm covering that up. I'm hiding that. You can't see my weaknesses, but I will show you my strengths.
Yeah. So from very early on, we're taught by even the social lessons we're taught as kids. We are taught to put on masks. We're taught to be something we aren't naturally. Right? Something as simple as, and I know some people find it controversial, but telling a kid to say you're sorry when they're not actually sorry teaches them to say and do something that isn't real for them. And there are definitely gender assignments that folks put upon us. This is how you're supposed to deal with this or that. And one thing that I noticed in your pursuit in grief recovery is you gave yourself permission to discover yourself, to find out who you were. And I also want to say this because it's really important, especially important for folks who think that they're too busy. I saw you make time for yourself. Even when it was hard to get there, you picked yourself. And it sounds like you were worth the investment.
I am worth the investment, you know, because nobody else is going to take the time to take care of me the way I need them to, you know.
Well, you couldn't even tell them how to take care of you. If
know,
you don't know you, how is somebody else supposed to know
I think that is the one blessing that I've had throughout even in my childhood. I knew when something wasn't right. If I may not have known what it was, but I've never been afraid to look at myself in the mirror. I guess I'll say it that way. And if, you know, a lot of times we don't like what we see, but sometimes we do. And I think that when I look in the mirror, I try to address those things. You know, I'm not afraid to, in that sense, you know, not anymore.
Well, once you've seen some things, you know the effect that it could have on a person. And I find that a lot of us, once we've seen some hard to see things, we make decisions to not repeat that.
And then, you know, when you're a kid and a lot of bad things happen to you, or, you know, I'll just use this example. Some kids grow up and they say, I'm not going to spank my kids because I got spanked all the time. That's just an example. I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm just using that to say that, you know, I said to myself, I wasn't going to allow certain things to happen to me when I became an adult. Not anymore. And each time I got those revelations, I was not afraid to confront them when it came to it being about me. You know, I'm a very patient man, and sometimes I stay in things too long. But that's just me trying to be that people pleaser and trying to do what I think or believe is the right thing. But even in that, I still am not afraid to confront myself or take time to fix myself. You know?
Yeah, because how can you truly even help somebody else if you've broken yourself?
You
You know what I'm saying?
know, we both walk around here limping.
Okay.
You speak so boldly about a vulnerability that, I mean, truth, Britt, not many people, even when they say that it's their norm, let me even say it differently. Can you speak to the reality that even though this is how you stand and how you walk and how you live your life, that it doesn't always feel good to do it?
No. My wife knows me better than anybody else. And we ain't always peaches and cream conversation. You know, so when she tells me something about myself, I don't want to hear that. I don't like to hear it. Matter of fact, quit talking to me. La, la, la. You know, but man, you gotta, vulnerability is taking a risk. You have to, if you want a good relationship, if I want a good relationship with my wife, I have to be vulnerable to her. And she has to be vulnerable to me. We have to share. We have to, because we talking about spending the rest of our lives together. We're not talking about just taking a walk on the pier and watching the sunset.
Say that part.
We are talking about the good, the bad, the ugly, and the greatness. You know, so yeah, you can't get anything if you don't expose yourself. You know, if you want to be recognized, you got to be seen.
We were talking a lot about fear, and one of the things that has been encouraging to me, because when I can't shake the fear, I just do it afraid. Just do it
That's
afraid.
my life.
Like, I would love to say that I shut down the fear all the time. I'm that little meme with the boy was on the diving board with the little knees going. So sometimes you got to do it afraid when it comes to getting healthy, getting free from things that have, had you bound. When you think about your life and you think, I'm better than this, how you get to that better that you know that you are, do it afraid. If you can't do it boldly, if you can't go proud, if you can't go, if you think you're strong, go with your knees knocking and find some folks who are safe enough to say, hey, it wasn't easy, but I did it anyway.
That's real talk right there. That's every time I DJ in front of a huge crowd, the knees are shaking.
Come on. Do they shake on beat though? I'm just curious.
You won't never hear that rattling going on. But no, it just makes all the sense in the world. Yeah, you have to. If you don't go out there and do it, you just won't know what you're capable of. You know, if all these cliche sayings. If you don't swing, you won't hit. You know, and so you gotta do it afraid. Yeah, and that's my whole life. I'm doing it afraid.
And having that spiritual foundation to understand, Abba, my Father, got cattle on 1,000 hills. Like, He goes before me. So whoever coming against me ain't just coming against me. I know that helps me to just keep moving. But yeah, you be scared a lot. Keep moving.
You know, you got to remember who you serve.
Mm.
You know, and that's what the enemy plans on, you forgetting who you serve.
Mm.
You know, when you get scared, he wants you to forget about God.
Mm.
And so I'm glad you said that, because it's going to help me remember.
This scripture that's been on my mind, Isaiah 49:16, and I don't know how I missed it all these years, but it was around the fact that he has us engraved in the palm of his hand, like a tattoo. So now I think about it all the time, like, my name is in your hand. Like, I see you. I hear you. I know everything that's happening right now. I'm right here with your hand. You right here in the palm of my hand. So I've been sitting with that for a while. Every time because this is my go-to when I start eating stuff, when I don't feel like I'm being heard, when I don't feel like I'm being validated, whatever. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm in the palm of his hand. Like, who else needs to see me?
Another one, I can't remember. I can't recall scripture like that. I know my word, but I can't recall scripture. But it says, in my weakness, his strength is made perfect. That is one that I hold on to, because it says to me, when I can't do something, I do it afraid, then I give God the opportunity to show up and shine in my situation, because he's with me. So
His super shows up at the end of my natural. So this has been a wonderful conversation. I can't believe we made it to this point already. Whenever we get in, I'm thinking, we're going to talk all day, every day. This is so good. We can go down all these different lanes. I genuinely appreciate your vulnerability. The vulnerability is the invitation to humanity to be who we've been created to be, to know that we are beings that require something higher than us, so we don't have to be perfect. The community that, Danielle and I are trying to build is a space where folks like you that walk into the room with a presence, but sit down into that space and say, no, I'm here to get something for me.
Mm-hmm.
You were able to sit with your narrative and do that work.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just as I'm hearing you speak, I'm hearing over and over again that you're not just making this up for our conversation.
Oh, no. What you see is what you get. I'm no longer a blank canvas. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot on my palette here, but what you see is what you get, and I'm not. I've just learned a lot. You know what I'm saying? I'm a lifelong learner, if I'm nothing else. Every situation is a new place for me to learn from. And so that is my approach. And coming and sitting in that group, allowing me to get some healing, I'm not letting anybody mess that up.
Come on.
Because it's going to make me better. It's going to make how I handle my situations better. It's going to make my marriage better, because I'm learning how to deal with some things. So.
Thanks for watching Soul Repair 360 Conversations.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us grow and reach more people who need this work.
We're the soul sisters you don't want to have to talk to,
but you're always glad you did.
Healing hearts, we want more conversations, that's the core.